Welcome to the Elusive Truth with Rich and Larry. Well, in clown world, it's getting crazier. Keep talking about World War III coming closer, especially with Iran and Israel. And of course, the media over there in Europe calling it's just the far right people that are demonstrating in the UK. But it's not the normal people. It's just crazy. You really need to check that out. The people are getting tired of their governments. Not only in the UK, but in India, Venezuela, and probably countless other areas that we have no clue because the media is keeping it hush. Remember, we have the power when we work together and not get divided by their socialist agenda. So enough political BS, because I got a lot more to show with you here. We're going to start with Salty Cracker on Tampon Tim. Apparently Hillary Clinton... she's not that happy with, I guess a meme came out with Tampon Tim on a tampon box. We'll let Salty Cracker explain so you get the full idea what's going on. So here he is, Salty Cracker on Tampon Tim.
Principal here at Brookfield High School says this isn't the first time there's been vandalism in the bathroom. Broken stall doors, soap dispensers, things getting stuffed in the toilets. But it is the most egregious example. Just 20 minutes after this tampon dispenser was installed in the boys' room of Brookfield High School, it was ripped from the wall.
Boom. That's a meme headshot essays right there. You want to know if your memes are effective, if you want to know if an attack is effective, well, you just take a look over here, and there's a perfect example of it. The Tampon Tim meme has triggered Hillary Clinton. That's a Sabaisia meme essays. Load me up with some more of those because that's, again, an effective meme. Here's Hillary Clinton, Kankles Clinton, or side of beef Clinton, sulfur smelling Clinton. Yeah. How nice of the Trump camp to help publicize Governor Tim Walz's compassionate and common sense policy of providing free menstrual products to students in Minnesota public schools. Let's do this everywhere. Again, if you want to be a public institution, you want to be a public school, and you want to provide free menstrual products to the girls, nobody's going to find that weird. Nobody's going to find that odd. It's just that your public school system is full of pedophiles these days, and they want to talk to your small children about sex behind your back, and they want to teach them stuff, lads. They want to teach your young boys how to shove tampons up their buttholes. It's these people. That's what we have. That's what we got a problem with. That's what we're finding weird. Yeah. But then they'll tell you, well, we're also got cat litter boxes in our bathrooms too, because, I don't know, 30% of our students, again, who can't read at grade level, of course, don't even ask about their math scores. They think they're cats, so they want to piss in sandboxes inside the bathroom. So we'll put those there too. Again, you're running an insane asylum then. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. You're running an insane asylum, and you're trying to confuse prepubescent children about their sexual orientation so you can talk to them in secret behind their parents' back about sex. You're a bunch of pedophiles. That's what's over here. This is a wedge issue for people who are pedophiles. Again, free menstrual products in the girls' bathroom. Go for it. That's fine. That's fine. But you want to put them in the boys' bathroom. And that's what people are finding odd. That's why we're making these memes. This was trending on Twitter or X. Number one, because of Cat Turd, by the way. Cat Turd, the Wizard of X essays. Got this popping off bigly and huge. And now they're all upset about it. By the way, the other way that you know that this is a phenomenally well-placed precision meme, comments turned off. Oh, every time. That's a weird thing. She even put the hashtag in there for us. Thank you, idiot. Tampon Tim. You stupid idiot. That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for you stupid Barbara Streisand idiot moron. How old are you? How old? She still has that tweet up that says, "Happy birthday to the future president." No, not today, Satan. Not today. How'd that work out for you? She's too afraid to delete it. That's actually smart. That's actually smart. We're going to kick that right back up into the internet infosphere. But this is not so smart. So the left-hand side is panicking that we're telling people, because people, they have to write articles now. You got all of these old ladies. They're like, why did they say Tampon Tim? Right? He's a cuddly, dad-like figure. He just wants to give free lunches to children. So why are they calling him Tampon Tim? Oh, because he thinks that boys should be shoving these up their butt. Yep. Yeah, Tampon Tim and these weirdo lefties want boys to shove tampons up their buttholes. Yeah. Yeah, they're interested in that. They're wasting your tax money. By the way, most of the kids that they do this in, they put these tampons in boys' bathrooms. The boys are ripping these things off the wall and putting them in the urinals. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. But Tampon Tim gets real mad at that. Real mad at that, right? You could be willfully defiant in this public school institution over here. You could throw chairs at teachers and you could curb stomp them. But you won't be throwing the boys' menstrual products in the pooper. Oh, yeah? That's weird. Again, that's Tampon Tim. Tampon Tim. So there you go, essays. Keep firing that off and keep letting normies know that the lefties are full of degenerate weirdos. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching the video. Support Johnny coming up today on Tampon Tam. Hillary Clankles Clintons. Hit the subscribe button and make way, because the salt must flow.
Oh my. Minnesota Tim, tampons in the boys' room. That just really what happened to common sense. When I was growing up in high school, all I heard was there's not enough money for teachers, there's not enough money for supplies, yet we have some guy wanting tampons in the men's room. And then we have some old crazy washed up politician all upset because she thinks that Tim's doing a great job. It just doesn't get any crazier. Just, you have to look at it. It's everywhere. Just open your eyes and listen. We're going to go with our next little snippet here on Kamala Harris on inflation and what she's going to do about it. See if you can figure it out.
This reporter asks Kamala Harris a question that most Americans want an answer to.
What else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously, very seriously. And we know from the history of this issue in the United States that when you see these prices go up, it has a direct impact on the quality.
Thank you, Kamala, for letting me know that prices have gone up and I can't afford it. Really appreciate that. It's great news. All right. Now we're going to go to Tucker Carlson on Julian Assange. Apparently, the CIA had a program to try to kill him. Just, another day in Cloud World. Have a listen.
WikiLeaks revealed the existence of an illegal CIA spying program. Assange withheld most of the details of that program so as not to compromise American national security. But the story was still deeply humiliating to the CIA. In Washington, CIA Director Mike Pompeo decided to murder him. Pompeo discussed with his deputies how the CIA might kidnap Assange from the embassy in London or poison him inside. That is not conjecture. Multiple witnesses heard Mike Pompeo say that. At the time, keep in mind, Julian Assange had not been charged with any crime in the United States. Mike Pompeo considered it a death penalty offense to embarrass the CIA. You may be asking, is any of this legal? Can federal appointees use tax dollars to kill people who annoy them? Well, not technically. Mike Pompeo committed a felony, conspiracy to commit murder. And yet somehow, Mike Pompeo is not in prison. Instead, he's the toast of the donor class.
Oh, the CIA. Here to protect Americans. What else have they been up to? This next clip is from Valuetainment. Masks so real, you can't convince otherwise. So have a listen. This used to be conspiracy theory. I guess Larry is right. There's body doubles everywhere and masks. Well, here, listen for yourself.
It's her. Is this her talking about how she made it, Rob? Play this clip. Go for it.
Back to our disguise labs out at Langley, and we invented a whole new genre of masks. Masks that are so good, that are so realistic, that you can actually get up close and have a personal contact with someone for an extended period of time. Dude. They're good enough that you can brief the President of the United States in the Oval Office wearing a mask. And he isn't sure if it's you or if it's someone else. Those masks were the beginning of a whole new generation of work that we did at the CIA.
So much for Halloween Spirit having the best mask available. Larry, unbelievable. See? Years of CIA and millions of dollars of our tax money, I'm sure, went into this program, and it still is. This is from TRS. Robert Kiyosaki. America is the most corrupt country.
America is one of the most corrupt countries. Look at this guy, President Biden, biggest criminal I've ever seen. He's terrible, man. The reason I know that is because I'm a capitalist. Biden is a communist. So in 2020, Biden gets elected. He beats my friend Donald Trump, very good friend of mine. We're capitalists. But the communists and the socialists and the crooks hate him. I'm an oil guy. I own oil wells like Mr. Tata. See, the rich own commodities. There was a pipeline running from Canada to the Gulf of Mexico. Biden cut that off. What does that mean? I was selling oil in those days for $30 a barrel, went to $130 a barrel. That's dollars. I knew exactly what Biden was doing. He was going to destroy the middle class. So there'd be two classes of people, rich and everybody else poor. So Biden is one of these guys here. And this man here is a capitalist. It's very bad in America, but I don't tell you that.
I am sure it's way worse than you can imagine. Moving along, we're going to go to Timcast, illegal immigrants and crime. Really? Crime by the illegal immigrants? Come on.
Do you know what the crime rate among illegal immigrants is?
If I had to guess, 50%.
Wrong.
100%.
100%.
Because they're all here illegally.
Oh, come on, man. See, now, you all have done this before. I
have heard that before.
I know it. So you're setting me up. Come on, Tim.
I tweeted it a long time ago. I said the crime rate among illegal immigrants is 100%. Because they broke the law. They're illegal immigrants. That's what it is.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh,
but God. I think you're picking up on the thing that a lot of that basically mainstream media has taught us, which is like we're supposed to somehow forget that they're here illegally and just be like, they're a random person. Have they committed crime? Like they're actively in the middle of a crime.
Right.
That's why it's so horrifying when I get the car insurance thing. It's so horrifying when there is an intoxicated illegal immigrant who doesn't have car insurance who causes a major accident or commits some other crime because they are already illegally here.
That's a good point that's always overlooked. This next clip comes from Whatever Second, and it's asking a gentleman named Andrew Wilson how we would handle U.S. homelessness.
What would you do to solve U.S. homelessness?
I would reopen mental institutions, public mental institutions, and put most of them in there because that's what most of them are is mentally ill, and they're homeless by choice. Most homeless people are homeless by choice or due to severe mental illness.
Would you also implement policies to ensure the continuity of care once these people were out of the mental institution?
We already had such policies, and Democrats destroyed it all. The passive-aggressive Democrats, with their bleeding hearts, decided that they were going to tear down the public mental institutions. The reason that they did it is because they sent a reporter went into one and found signs of abuse in one institution. And so they tore the entire thing down. That's why you have homeless people sitting on the sidewalks in San Francisco, and why you have them on the sidewalks in Miami, why you have needles all over the place, because these are literally mentally ill people and you can't do anything with them. Nothing.
I will say that is a very valid point. I agree with that.
See, you learn something new every day. Even the youngins can learn. Amazing. For the next clip, this is Trish Reagan channel. How are you going to pay for this, Kamala? Oh, lots of bright ideas, but says nothing. Have a listen.
The bill also says, quote, every individual who is a resident of the United States is entitled to benefits for health care services under this act. Not every individual who's a citizen, but every individual who's a resident. So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
Just curious, how are you going to pay for it?
Meanwhile, us citizens have to pay for our health insurance, but these illegals coming over, they want to give them free health insurance that we pay for, which we could probably do if we didn't send billions of dollars over to the Ukraine. All right, for the next little snippet, what's going on with our celebrities, our singers, our entertainers, our athletes? It's getting crazy. And Celine Dion? Unbelievable. This is Alicia Saved. Celine Dion lost her singing voice. And it's just, you need to look this stuff up, man. This is crazy. Have a listen.
If you don't look at this craziness, yes, you see Celine Dion walking into a nursery with innocent newborn babies who have genders. Yes, you see her right here blowing devil dust onto them, and all of a sudden they miraculously don't have genders now. They're gender neutral. Yeah, you see her running from the cops as they tackle her to the ground, and she looks into the camera as if she's done something sinister. And yeah, you guessed it. This is a commercial for her clothing line for children that are using these satanic visuals and putting them on children. And yes, you very well should be hiding your nieces, your cousins, your daughters, your sons, everybody away from this clothing line because it is a satanic initiation. And yes, now you see Celine Dion having a seizure due to what they call
the incurable disease, stiff person syndrome.
And yes, we are fast forwarding to the current time where she is now crying because she has lost her singing voice.
Where did that come from? Back in the 80s, Celine Dion, she was the queen of music. And now she's the queen of Satan with satanic clothing. Telling you, alternate universe. I said it a million times. I'm going to say it again. I don't know what the heck is going on here, folks. For my next clip, the Officer Tatum. If I could give all my money away for these people to go away forever, I'd do it. Have a listen.
Man, did y'all see this Zoom call? I have never in my life seen something as cringy as this. Megan Rapinoe and that other nasty one, they in this clip, I don't know nobody else's name, but this fool right here, white people, stop it. You stop this right now. Stop patronizing black people.
Is here to help gentle parent us through this election.
This gotta be a parody, bro. Look at this girl.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I am so honored to speak today. BIPOC women have tapped us in as white women to step up, listen, and get involved this election season. As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we can put our listening ears on.
I want to just jump out of a window, or I want Jesus to come get us.
We are definitely fighting an uphill battle, folks. The cringe fest has been around for a while. I'm telling you, worry about yourselves. So while making this podcast, Benny Johnson had President Trump come on. He was doing a live press conference in Mar-a-Lago. So here's Benny Johnson with President Trump talking about, I guess he wants 3 debates with Kamala. And he's answering questions from the press corps, which is amazing since our last guy, forget his name already. Oh, that's right. Joe Biden. He never did any of those. And apparently Kamala is following his steps perfectly. No pre-written stuff, no binders, just talking and answering questions. Here, have a listen. Benny Johnson.
A man who you've endorsed, a man who's endorsed you. Godspeed, Congressman.
Gangs outside of our
Godspeed.
country.
Thank you.
In the form of other countries that are frankly very powerful. They're very powerful countries, and we don't know what we're doing.
Live,
we have
ladies and
leadership that has no clue how to handle them or how to handle any other situation. We have a lot of bad things coming up. You could end up in a depression of The 1929 variety, which would be a devastating thing, took many years, took decades to recover from it. And we're very close to that. And we're very close to a world war. In my opinion, we're very close to a world war. We have people that don't know how to handle it. They're not respected. All over the world, they're laughed at. And we can't have that. Most dangerous period of time I've ever seen for our country. With that being said, we have somebody that hasn't received one vote for president, and she's running, and that's fine with me. But we were given Joe Biden, and now we're given somebody else. And I think, frankly, I'd rather be running against the somebody else. But that was their choice. They decided to do that because Kamala's record is horrible. She's a radical left person at a level that nobody's seen. She picked a radical left man that is, he's got things done that he has positions that are just not, it's not even possible to believe that they exist. He's going for things that nobody's ever even heard of. Heavy into the transgender world, heavy into lots of different worlds having to do with safety. He doesn't want to have borders. He doesn't want to have walls. He doesn't want to have any form of safety for our country. He doesn't mind people coming in from prisons, and neither does she, I guess, because she's not, she couldn't care less. She's the border czar. By the way, she was the border czar 100%. And all of a sudden, for the last few weeks, she's not the border czar anymore, like nobody ever said it. And I just hope that the media becomes more diligent, more honest, frankly, because if they're not going to be honest, it's going to be much tougher to bring our country back. We have a very, very sick country right now. You saw the other day with the stock market crashing. That was just the beginning. That was just the beginning. It's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse, in my opinion. And fortunately, we've had some very good polls over the last fairly short period of time. Rasmussen came out today. We're substantially leading, and others came out today that we're leading, and in some cases substantially. I guess MSNBC came out, or CNBC came out also with a poll that was, has us leading, and leading fairly big in swing states. In some polls, I'm leading very big in swing states because they want safety. People want safety. They want security. They want respect all around the world for our country. They don't want this horrible culture that is developing, a culture of no common sense. It's really a culture of no common sense, and it's not what anyone wants. We want to have a safe country. We want to have a strong military. We want low interest rates, and we want to be able to have the American dream. We want to be able to have our youth be able to buy homes, housing, get good jobs. And we're really just at the opposite right now. It's so sad to see. But as a border czar, she's been the worst border czar in history, in the world history. I think the number is 20 million, but whether it's 15 or 20, it's numbers that nobody's ever heard before. 20 million people came over the border during the Biden-Harris administration. 20 million people, and it could be very much higher than that. Nobody really knows what the number is. Nobody knows. Nobody has a clue. And the gotaways, they call them the gotaways. The gotaways are at numbers. Somebody was quizzing me on it the other day. No, I don't think so, sir. I don't think so. They have no idea what those numbers are, but they're much higher than you would think. Just like far more people were killed in the Ukraine-Russia war than you ever report. Just like the October 7th would have never happened. Russia would have never hit Ukraine had the election result been called differently. It was a very bad call, but Russia would not have attacked Ukraine. October 7th in Israel would have never happened. You wouldn't have inflation. A lot of great things would have happened, but now you have millions and millions of dead people, and you have people dying financially because they can't buy bacon, they can't buy food, they can't buy groceries, they can't do anything. And they're living horribly in our country right now. With all of that being said, I think it's very important to have debates. And we've agreed with Fox on a date of September 4th. We've agreed with NBC, fairly full agreement, subject to them, on September 10th. And we've agreed with ABC on September 25th. So we have those three dates, and those networks, they're very anxiously awaiting that date, and those dates. So we have September 4th, September 10th, and September 25th. We have spoken to the heads of the network, and it's all been confirmed, other than some fairly minor details. Audience, some location, which city would we put it into, but all things that will be settled very easily. I think it'll be very easy. The other side has to agree to the terms. They may or may not agree. I don't know if they're going to agree. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview. She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. But I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight. Why is it that millions of people were allowed to come into our country from prisons, from jails, from mental institutions, insane asylums, even insane asylums? That's it's a mental institution on steroids. That's what it is. When you see the people that are coming into these are institutions that are being emptied out, not in South America, all over the world, including South America, all over the world. Prisons are being emptied out into our country because we have a president that's the worst president in the history of our country. We have a vice president who is the least admired, least respected, and the worst vice president in the history of our country, the most unpopular vice president. And because of political reasons or because of being politically correct, even though she never received a vote. Don't forget, she was the first one defeated, as I remember it, because I watched it very closely, but she was the first one. She never made it to Iowa, the first state. She never made it to Iowa. She was the first one that was defeated. She was the nastiest to him. She was nasty with calling him a racist and the school bus and all of the different things. She was very nasty to Biden. And shockingly, he appointed her, asked her to serve as vice president. Well, I don't know if he's happy about that decision right now. This was taken away. The presidency was taken away from Joe Biden. And I'm no Biden fan, but I'll tell you what, from a constitutional standpoint, from any standpoint you look at, they took the presidency away. And people were saying he lost after the debate. He couldn't win. Well, I don't know that that's true necessarily. But whether he could win or he couldn't win, he had the right to run. And they took it away. They said they're going to use the 25th Amendment. They're going to hit you hard. Either we can do it the nice. I know exactly because I know a lot of people on the other side, believe it or not. And they said, we'll do it the nice way or we'll do it the hard way. And he said, all right. So they've really taken, what they've done is pretty incredible. And now I'm running against somebody else and we're leading. So I'm not complaining. I'm saying for a country with a constitution that we cherish this constitution. To have done it this way is pretty severe, pretty horrible. You would have thought they would have gone out to a vote. They would have had a primary system. They would have done something, but to just take it away from him like he was a child. And he's a very angry man right now. I can tell you that. He's not happy with Obama, and he's not happy with Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy. She is crazy too. She's not happy with any of the people that told him that you've got to leave. He's very unhappy, very angry. And I think he also blames her. He's trying to put up a good face, but it's a very bad thing in terms of a country when you do that. I'm not a fan of his, as you probably have noticed. And he had a rough debate, but that doesn't mean that you just take it away like that. Or you go out to a vote, you do something. He had 14 million votes. She had no votes. She got no votes. And I think she's crashing. I think when people find out, and I think people are starting to find out what a bad job she did on the border. She's trying to say she had nothing to do with the border. She had everything. She was appointed to head the border. And then they said border czar. Oh, she loved that name. But she never went there. She went to a location once along the border, but that was a location that you would love to go and have dinner with your husband or whoever. That was a location that was not part of the problem. That was not really going to the border. So essentially, she never went to the border. And if you listen to Tom Holman, if you listen to the great border people, Brandon Judd from Border Patrol, if you listen to Paul, so many different people. I speak to them all the time. And I did when I was president. We had the best border in the history of our country. Now we have the worst border in the history of the world. Millions of people coming in, and our country cannot sustain it. Our country is going down because of this, because of incompetent people. So I just look forward to these debates. I think it's very important that we have them.
Wow.
I hope she agrees to them September 4th, September 10th, September 25th. And
Wow.
I think they'll be very revealing. Do you have any questions, please?
Massive. Trump says he's going to do 3 debates with Kamala. That's huge.
I haven't recalibrated strategy at all. It's the same policies, open borders, weak on crime. I think she's worse than Biden because he got forced into the position. She was there long before. She destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed California as the AG. But as the DA, she destroyed San Francisco. Friend of mine, Bob Tisch, all know the Tisch family. He was in many cities with companies. He said the greatest city in the country is San Francisco. That was about 20 years ago. And he passed away a while ago, and he would be looking down and said, what happened? He thought it was the best city in the country. He had divisions there, lows. And he would be looking down in horror now when he sees she destroyed no cash bail, weak on crime. She's terrible. And yet they weaponized the system against me. They have me. I got so many lawyers. Now they want to delay cases. I won the big case in Florida. I won the big case. Nobody even wrote about it. The big case, the judge was a brilliant judge. And all they do is they play the ref with the judges. This judge was a fair but brilliant judge. And as you probably heard, the big documents case, I won it. Now, Biden lost it because he didn't have presidential immunity. He didn't have the Presidential Records Act. He lost it. But the I call it prosecutor, special counsel, special prosecutor to me, he appointed by Garland, he said the man's incompetent. He can't stand trial, but he can run for president. But we no longer have to worry about that because we have somebody that, in my opinion, is more incompetent. She couldn't pass her bar exam and lots of other things. And she should not be in a position because if she becomes president, our country is going to be a giant fail. It's going to fail. It's going to be a failure, the likes of which this world has never seen. Yeah, please. All right, how about you? You have to speak louder.
A big part of the strategy for your campaign before Harris became the nominee was appealing to Black voters.
Yeah.
You were really going after. In polls, we really see Harris being Black effective. And I'm wondering how you are going to go after Black voters now that she's the nominee.
Well, it changes around a little bit. I'm getting other voters. Perhaps, I was doing very well with Black voters, and I still am. I seem to be doing very well with Black males. This is according to polls, as you know. It's possible that I won't do as well with Black women, but I do seem to be doing very well with other segments, extremely well with Hispanic. Jewish voters way up. White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. White males way up. Now, I don't know. All we're doing is giving you the stats that you have. It could be that I'll be affected somewhat with Black females where we're doing pretty well. And I think ultimately they'll like me better because I'm going to give them security, safety, and jobs. I'm going to give them a good economy. We have a very bad economy right now. We could literally be on the throes of a depression, not recession, a depression. And they can't have that. They can't have that. So I think I'm going to do well with everybody, especially when the facts are right. Yeah, please, in the back. Well, I don't know. I know Josh Shapiro. He's a terrible guy, and he's not very popular with anybody. I think that this election maybe is better than Josh Shapiro would have been. But I think other than Josh Shapiro, I think she had some good choices. But Josh Shapiro is not one of them. He's caused a lot of damage with a lot of people. And I don't think he would have been better. I think he would have been maybe the equivalent, maybe not as good. But they had some people that they were looking at that were good, far superior to her. They actually had a story where they had everybody, including, they had like 10 people that she was looking at and her. And they said she was the worst of all. In other words, she was the worst out of the 10 people and her. I don't know how that's going to work out. We'd like to do 3 debates. We think we should do 3 debates. We think
Yes.
Fox and ABC. And we also have CBS is going to do the vice presidential debate. So CBS will do vice presidential. And I have to tell you, J.D. Vance has really stepped up. He's doing a fantastic job.
Nice.
Say it. Oh, give me a break. Listen, I had 107,000 people in New Jersey. You didn't report it. I'm so glad you asked. What did she have yesterday? 2,000 people? If I ever had 2,000 people, you'd say my campaign is finished. It's so dishonest, the press. And here's a great example. I had in Michigan recently 25,000 people, and 25,000 people we just couldn't get them in. We had in Harrisburg 25,000 people, and 20,000 people couldn't get in. We had so many. Nobody ever mentions that. When she gets 1,500 people, and I saw it yesterday on ABC, which they said, oh, the crowd was so big. I have 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the crowd size. And no, they never say the crowd was big. That's why I'm always saying, turn around the cameras. I'm so glad you asked that. I think it's so terrible when you say, well, she has 1,500 people, 1,000 people, and they talk about, oh, the enthusiasm. Let me tell you, we have the enthusiasm. The Republican Party and me as a candidate, but the Republican Party has the enthusiasm because people want to see crime stopped. They want to see a country that's respected. Think of it. If I were president, you wouldn't have Russia and Ukraine, where it never happened. 0 chance. You wouldn't have had October 7th of Israel. You wouldn't have the horrible withdrawal. And I don't mean the withdrawal because the withdrawal was fine. I was ready to withdraw from Afghanistan, and we were going to do it with dignity and strength. And we were keeping our equipment. We weren't leaving $85 billion worth of equipment behind. And we wouldn't have had 13 great soldiers. I know the families of those soldiers well. We wouldn't have had these soldiers killed. And we wouldn't have had 45 soldiers obliterated. No legs, no arms, the face. None of that would have happened. And you wouldn't have had inflation. You wouldn't have had any inflation because inflation was caused by their bad energy problems. Now they've gone back to the Trump thing because they need the votes. I don't know if you know, they're drilling now because they had to go back because gasoline was going up to $7, $8, $9 a barrel. So they said, we better do what Trump. But the day after the election, if they won, you're going to have fuel prices go through the roof. Everybody's going to be forced to buy an electric car, which they're not going to do because they don't want that. It's got a great market. It's got a market. It's really a sub-market. People want gasoline-propelled cars. They want hybrids. They want to have everything, and they want electric. But they want everybody to have an electric car. We don't have enough electricity. We couldn't make enough electricity for that. And you know what else? The weight of a car, the weight of a truck. They want all trucks to be electric. Little things that a lot of people don't talk about. The weight of a truck is 2.5 times heavier. You would have to rebuild every bridge in this country if you were going to do this ridiculous policy. So, but on crowd size, in history, for any country, nobody's had crowds like I have. And you know that. And when she gets 1,000 people and everybody starts jumping, you know that if I had 1,000 people would say, that's the end of his campaign. I have hundreds of thousands of people. In South Carolina, I had 88,000 people. In Alabama, I had 68,000 people. Nobody says about crowd size with me. But she has 1,000 people or 1,500 people, and they say, oh, the enthusiasm's back. No. The enthusiasm is with me and the Republican Party because they want to stop crime. They want to stop people from pouring into our country from places unknown and from countries unknown, from countries that nobody ever heard of. That's where the enthusiasm is.
Nice. Great answer.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to hear. I'm sorry.
I don't know if I can or not. I got him elected.
It's the feed.
Without me,
it's not
he wouldn't
us.
be governor. I got him elected. He was doing terribly. I got him elected. With that being said, I hope we can repair it. But if we don't, the people are still the people, and they're going to vote. We're leading in Georgia by a lot. We're leading in Pennsylvania by a lot. So, but I don't know. Now in Pennsylvania, I have great relationships. In Georgia, I do too, but unfortunately not with the governor. I've never understood it. When you get somebody elected, they're supposed to like you. He's not exactly for some reason, and you'll have to ask him about that. Yeah, I'd love to see it get repaired. I think that if we don't win Georgia, Georgia is a big win, is a big state. So I won Alabama by a record. Nobody's ever gotten that many votes. I won South Carolina by a record. You don't win Alabama and South Carolina by records and lose Georgia. It doesn't happen. And the people of Georgia understand that. There was tremendous anxiety and problems in Georgia. A lot of people say, what happened? And we have to, all we want is honest elections. If we have honest elections in Georgia, we have honest elections in Pennsylvania, we're going to win them by a lot.
Nice. Great answer. Great answer. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, there's no mic on the reporters. I'm so sorry. It's not us. It's every single feed.
Well, he actually said it two ways. First, he said it incorrectly, then he corrected himself. Do you agree with that, right? You know, if you watch him, he said it two ways. No. I mean, he said it two ways because he doesn't really know what he said. Why didn't he bring it up at the debate? You know, he had a chance for 90 minutes to bring it up at the debate. He could have talked about that at the debate, and he didn't do it. Everyone said, oh, he said this and he said that. He's just, you know, they give him something to read off. He read it very badly because he actually said it the opposite. Then he had to go back and correct himself. He said the opposite. He should have brought this up at the debate. If he had a problem, of course there'll be a peaceful transfer. And there was last time, and there'll be a peaceful transfer. I just hope we're going to have honest elections. That's all. Okay? What a stupid question this is. Because I'm leading by a lot and because I'm letting their convention go through, and I am campaigning a lot. I'm doing tremendous amounts of taping here. We have commercials that are at a level I don't think that anybody's ever done before. Plus, in certain cases, I see many of you in the room where I'm speaking to you on phones. I'm speaking to radio. I'm speaking to television. Television's coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference.
Redirect.
She's not smart enough to do a news conference. And I'm sorry, we need smart people to lead this country because our country's never been in this danger before, both economically and from an outside perspective. Russia doesn't respect us anymore. China doesn't respect us anymore. North Korea, Kim Jong-un, liked me a lot. He doesn't like this group. We are in great danger. We're in great danger of being in World War III. That could happen. No, after their convention, yeah. And I'm going out to certain places to help certain senators get elected. Not even for me. I'm trying to help when I go out to Wyoming or when I go out to Montana, or I'm going to different places to help people. And I don't have to go there because I'm leading those states, as you know, by 35, 40, 50 points. I'm leading by record numbers. I'm going because I want to help senators and congressmen get elected. Congressmen and women get elected. Yes, please. Yeah, go ahead.
I love this energy, Trump.
I love what? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Elon Musk. So, yeah, sure. So Elon called me. As you know, he endorsed me full-throated. Great endorsement. I respect Elon a lot. He respects me.
Yes.
And not easy for him to endorse, to be honest with you. You know, it takes courage to endorse people. Many people have courage and many people don't. He does have courage. And Elon endorsed me, and he asked me whether or not I'd do a show on Monday, and I think it's going to be Monday night. And I believe he's the host of the show. So it'll be very interesting. A lot of people are talking about it. I look forward to it. That'll be done on Monday night.
Live on X. We'll be live as well.
You have a lot of misinformation spread about China, and you have a lot of misinformation spread about a lot of different places. I think I'm going to get along great with China. President Xi of China and I were very good friends. We met right here, right in that, except we had a beautiful sofa there as opposed to what we have right now. Right now we have you. But President Xi and I had a very good relationship until COVID. And I held him responsible for COVID. It broke up our relationship. But I think we're going to have a great relationship. And I think it's going to be mutually beneficial. But we cannot have it where China is taking advantage of the United States. And that's what they were doing, as you very well know. Yes, please. No, I think the people that, if you look at January 6th, which a lot of people aren't talking about very much, I think those people were treated very harshly. when you compare them to other things that took place in this country where a lot of people were killed. Nobody was killed on January 6th. But I think that the people of January 6th were treated very unfairly. And they were there to complain, not through me. They were there to complain about an election. And, it's very interesting. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I said peacefully and patriotically, which nobody wants to say, but I said peacefully and patriotically. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and you've seen, Maggie, I was at the mall. I was at the Washington Monument. I was at the whole thing. I had crowds. I don't know who's ever had a bigger crowd than I have, but I had it many times. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken before was that day. And I'll tell you, it's very hard to find a picture of that crowd. You see the picture of a small number of people relatively going to the Capitol, but you never see the picture of the crowd. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken. I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people. If not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people, but I had 25,000 people. But when you look at the exact same picture, and everything's the same because it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington, and you look at it, and you look at the picture of his crowd, my crowd, we actually had more people. They said I had 25,000, and he had 1 million people, and I'm okay with it because I liked Dr. Martin Luther King. Yeah, please. Yeah, sure. We have a constitution. It's a very important document, and we live by it. She has no votes, and I'm very happy to run against her. I'm not complaining from that standpoint. And I hate to be defending him, but he did not want to leave. He wanted to see if he could win. They said, you're not going to win after the debate. They said, you're not going to win. You can't win. You're out. And at first they said it nicely, and he wasn't leaving. And then you know it better than anybody. Wait a minute. So when you think about it, they said at first they were going to go out to another vote. They were going to go through a primary system, a quick primary system, which it would have to be. And then it all disappeared, and they just picked a person that was the first out. She was the first loser. Okay, so we call her the first loser. She was the first loser when during the primary system, during the Democrat primary system, she was the first one to quit, and she quit.
True.
She had no votes, no support, and she was a bad debater, by the way, very bad debater. And that's not the thing I'm looking forward to, but she was a bad debater. She did obviously a bad job. She never made it to Iowa. Then for some reason, and I know he regrets it, you do too, he picked her, and she turned on him too. She was working with the people that wanted him out. But the fact that you can get no votes, lose in the primary system, in other words, you had 14 or 15 people, she was the first one out, and that you can then be picked to run for president, it seems to me actually unconstitutional. Perhaps
yes.
It's not. Please.
Yes. Such a strong point. Illegally installed Commie Kamala.
So I've run against Hillary, and I've run against various other people. I would say that in terms of intelligence, Hillary was far superior. I would say that. Hillary was smart. She was her own worst enemy in many ways, but she was smart, very smart. Okay? If you ask me to compare them, please.
Yeah.
Would you repeat that question, please? You have to speak up. It's a hard room because it's very big, if you know. So this is worth $18 million. Oh, I see. Yeah. So I think the abortion issue has been very much tempered down, and I've answered, I think, very well in the debate, and it seems to be much less of an issue, especially for those where they have the exceptions, as you know. And I think it's when I look for 52 years, they wanted to bring abortion back to the states. They wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade. And that's Democrats, Republicans, and independents, and everybody, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back in the states. And I did that. Now the states are voting. And frankly, some of the votes are much more, if you could say, liberal than you would think. Ohio turned out to be, they had a big vote, and it turned out to be a much more liberal standing than people would have thought. Kansas, the same thing. And then you have Texas and you have other places where it may be different. But the issue has been brought back to the states now. And like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly. I think that that's a very important thing. I think when you have to follow your heart. But when you don't believe in the exceptions, I think it's much tougher. It's a much tougher issue. But about 82% of Republicans do believe in exceptions. I think and a lot of them are changing their mind and coming even further. I think that abortion has become much less of an issue. It's a very small, I think it's actually going to be a very small issue. What I've done is I've done what every Democrat and every Republican wanted to have done, and we brought that issue back to the states. And now the states are voting on it. And frankly, some of the votes are a lot different than people would have thought, but it's the vote of the people is taking care of it. And, when you think about the Democrats are really the radical ones on this because they're allowed to do abortion on the 8th and 9th month and even after birth. If you look at your new governor from Minnesota.
Yes.
He's like the governor previous, the former governor. I don't want to get him mixed up because Glenn is doing a good job and he's leading our whole campaign in Virginia, Glenn Youngkin. But previous to Glenn, the governor, he said the baby will be born. We will put the baby aside and we will decide with the mother what we're going to do. In other words, whether or not we're going to kill the baby. The Minnesota gentleman, this guy agrees with that. He is the most liberal. Look, between her and him, there's never been anything like this. There's never been a combination. So I'll use the word progressive. They want to go progressive. They don't like the word liberal. I like liberal better. I think it's more appropriate because nobody knows what progressive means. But they now like to use the word progressive. But there's certainly never been anybody so liberal like these two, or even close. I think the abortion issue has been taken down many notches. I don't think it's a big factor anymore, really. And when people hear what I said in the debate, and I think I said it very well during the debate, we brought it back to the states. Everybody wanted it in the states. And very importantly, and you think about this, assuming you have exceptions. If you don't have exceptions, it's a more difficult thing. At the same time, there are people that strongly feel that way, and you have to follow your heart, and you should follow your heart. But that issue is very much subdued. Yeah, thank you.
Trump is locked in. He is locked in, baby. Wow.
About who? No, I didn't. Look, if you take away guns, she wants to take away everyone's gun. If you take away guns, can't do it because people need the guns for protection. Now, entertainment, they want it, hunting, they would, different things. But they need weapons for protection in this country. People live out in the woods and they're not going to have a gun. If you look at some countries, I don't want to get them in trouble, but some countries have actually gone the opposite way. They had very strong gun laws, and now they have gone the opposite way, where they allowed people to have guns, where in one case they encouraged people to go out and get guns, and crime is down 29%. And remember this, what is the toughest gun law in the United States? Chicago. On July 4th, 117 people were shot and 17 died.
Wow.
The toughest gun laws in the United States are in the city of Chicago.
Sharp.
They had 117 people shot. Afghanistan does not have that. Afghanistan, by the way, was the lowest point in the history of our country, in my opinion. That was the worst embarrassment to the history of this country. And I say Putin would not have gone into Ukraine if that didn't happen. When he saw the incompetence of Milley and all these guys that are incompetent, when he saw that happen, when they took out the soldiers first, they took out the soldiers first. If you go back and check your records, for 18 months, I had a talk with Abdul. Abdul was the leader of the Taliban, still is. But I had a strong talk with him. For 18 months, not one American soldier was shot at or killed, but not even shot at. 18 months. And then we had the disaster of the lift, where people were falling off airplanes from 3 times the height of the World Trade Center. I mean, terrible. But now our country has to be respected again. Please. Go ahead, please. I'd be against that. That Kamala is in favor of not giving Israel weapons? Yeah. That's what I hear. Look, she's been very, very bad to Israel, and she's been very bad to Jewish people. And I say it, if anybody I know is Jewish and they would vote for Kamala over me, they should have their head examined. If you think about it, I gave them Golan Heights. I gave them the capital of Israel, Jerusalem. I even built the embassy.
Locked in.
I gave them no Iran deal.
Locked
The problem is
in.
they didn't do anything with it. Iran was broke. We could have made a deal so easily. I would have had a deal done within 1 week after the election with Iran. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We would have gotten along with Iran. I was looking forward to it. I was fine with Iran. You know, we hit them a couple of times pretty hard, but we would have been fine with Iran. But I terminated that deal. I got them the Abraham Accords. Everyone said that's impossible. I got them the Abraham Accords. She's been very, very bad to Israel, and she's been very bad and disrespectful to Jewish people. And any Jewish person that votes for Kamala and her friend, her new friend, who I don't know if she knew him before, but I don't think he's too good. But anybody that votes for them, if you're Jewish or if you love Israel, you have to have your head examined.
Wow.
Ahead,
What an answer. Locked in Trump. Dates,
have
times,
yet
numbers.
About the shooter. I think they've done a very good job. And I think they did a very good job with respect to this other lunatic that they have in custody. Please. Yeah. Well, I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was he was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen him in years, but he told me terrible things about her. But this is what you're telling me anyway, I guess. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But he I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
If anything, I think we can all agree on we haven't seen press conferences like this in quite a while, at least in the past 3.5 years. Thank you, Benny Johnson, for bringing that. It was very hard hearing what the reporters were asking President Trump, and there was a lot of gaps that I had to cut down. And I had to cut this short since my time is up with the podcast for this month. I'm not sure if you all know, but we have to pay a company to put our stuff on. Imagine that. It's not much. Again, my time has run out until the next cycle begins in a few days. So go to Benny Johnson. Go check out the rest of this press conference at Mar-a-Lago with President Trump, and you'll get to see the whole thing. It's awesome. It's nice to see somebody rooting for us and somebody who can answer a few questions without stumbling and fumbling around. With that, keep looking for that elusive truth, and we will see you soon. We're off to a SETI. Hopefully we can see some interesting sights. But again, we're in clown world. God only knows how it's going to go. So with that, we love you. God loves you. Stay strong. Keep looking for them higher vibrations and frequencies. And people, just be happy. Come on. This is ridiculous. Anyway, see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.